Failure isn't fatal, but failure to change might be. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. A person who doubts himself is like a man who would enlist in the ranks of his enemies and bear arms against himself. He makes his failure certain by himself being the first person to be convinced of it. Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. You build on failure. You use it as a stepping stone. Close the door on the past. You don't try to forget the mistakes, but you don't dwell on it. You don't let it have any of your energy, or any of your time, or any of your space. It's not how far you fall, but how high you bounce that counts. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Success is most often achieved by those who don't know that failure is inevitable. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. The phoenix must burn to emerge. If you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original. An inventor fails 999 times, and if he succeeds once, he's in. He treats his failures simply as practice shots. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Failure after long perseverance is much grander than never to have a striving good enough to be called a failure. A man may fall many times, but he won't be a failure until he says that someone pushed him. You'll always miss 100% of the shots you don't take. A man must be big enough to admit his mistakes, smart enough to profit from them, and strong enough to correct them. There are no failures, just experiences and your reactions to them. A life spent making mistakes is not only more honorable but more useful than a life spent in doing nothing. When you take risks, you learn that there will be times when you succeed, and there will be times when you fail, and both are equally important. It's failure that gives you the proper perspective on success. There is no failure except in no longer trying. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. It's fine to celebrate success, but it is more important to heed the lessons of failure. Do not be embarrassed by your failures. Learn from them and start again. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. There is only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve: the fear of failure. The biggest risk is not taking any risk. In a world that's changing really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risks. No human ever became interesting by not failing. The more you fail and recover and improve, the better you are as a person. Ever meet someone who's always had everything work out for them with zero struggle? They usually have the depth of a puddle. Or they don't exist. The greatest mistake you can make in life is to be continually fearing you will make one. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. Pain is temporary. Quitting lasts forever. I'd rather be partly great than entirely useless. We are all failures, at least the best of us are. I think you have to try and fail because failure gets you closer to what you're good at. I thank God for my failures. Maybe not at the time, but after some reflection. I never feel like a failure just because something I tried has failed. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Part of being a man is learning to take responsibility for your successes and for your failures. You can't go blaming others or being jealous. Seeing somebody else's success as your failure is a cancerous way to live. I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something. But I can't accept not trying. Giving up is the only sure way to fail. If you don't try at anything, you can't fail. It takes backbone to lead the life you want. Failure should be our teacher, not our undertaker. Failure is delay, not defeat. It is a temporary detour, not a dead end. Failure is something we can avoid only by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. Failures are fingerposts on the road to achievement. Winners are not afraid of losing, but losers are. Failure is part of the process of success. People who avoid failure also avoid success. Failure is so important. We speak about success all the time. It is the ability to resist failure or use failure that often leads to greater success. I've met people who don't want to try for fear of failing. A man of genius makes no mistakes. His errors are volitional and are the portals of discovery. Failure is unimportant. It takes courage to make a fool of yourself. Please know that I am aware of the hazards. I want to do it because I want to do it. Women must try to do things as men have tried. When they fail, their failure must be a challenge to others. We need to accept that we won't always make the right decisions, that we'll screw up royally sometimes. Understanding that failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. The only real failure in life is not to be true to the best one knows. You have to be able to accept failure to get better. I don't want the fear of failure to stop me from doing what I really care about. Do not fear mistakes. You will know failure. Continue to reach out. When I was young, I observed that 9 out of 10 things I did were failures. So I did 10 times more work. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. With a hint of good judgment, to fear nothing, not failure or suffering or even death, indicates that you value life the most. You live to the extreme, you push limits, you spend your time building legacies. Those do not die. My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure. Success is not built on success. It's built on failure. It's built on frustration. Sometimes it's built on catastrophe. Failure happens all the time. It happens every day in practice. What makes you better is how you react to it. When we give ourselves permission to fail, we, at the same time, give ourselves permission to excel. What is the point of being alive if you don't at least try to do something remarkable? Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. There is only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve: the fear of failure. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly.